This was KSI in his KSI crypto era, and we got this big shiny presentation for the Sidemen NFTs, one of 10,000. Launch the NFT project, make $20 million that day. What happens afterwards? Everyone should make money, but if they don't, who cares?
He loves the whole back and forth. That's what the whole boxing
That's what he
about.
wants,
Like, I get it.
yeah.
I understand it. It was funnier to not feed into it.
Wait, you did the same as Dan. You made toys with Tube Heroes. Well, okay then. He was talking about food.
After 13 years inside the group that essentially built his career, KSI is out of the Sidemen, and rather than leave it there, his team went straight to the Daily Mirror with a story painting him as the one who got frozen out, adding that his old friends had actually been pleased to see him lose that boxing match. 2 years before any of that, this same guy was out there publicly defending Logan Paul, right as Logan's crypto venture had managed to pay back only 12% of what victims were actually owed. DanTDM called this pattern out in 2024, and Jacksepticeye had already seen it coming even sooner. What's followed since is basically KSI doing everything in his power to confirm they were right all along. So let's break down what actually happened. It started in September 2024, when Logan Paul, Mr. Beast, and KSI put out Lunchly, a boxed kids meal sold as the healthier answer to Lunchables. Online scrutiny of the nutrition label followed almost instantly, and it turned out the healthier claim boiled down to 1 extra gram of protein, with the rest just as processed as any other option on the shelf. Really, what this amounted to was 3 of YouTube's biggest channels aiming their combined audience at a single snack box. Calling it a food product was generous, and somebody eventually said so publicly. That somebody was DanTDM, who's built a decade of genuine trust with a young audience across 30 million subscribers. His tweet made a simple point. This was about cashing in on kids who trusted the very people marketing to them, and the 3 of them were capable of better. 1 tweet. That's all it took to set off weeks' worth of content from KSI.
Looks like crap to me, while showing his toys that he sold to kids. How does this benefit your fans, Dan? Now, obviously, people didn't realize that I was shining a mirror in his face. Instead, they were like,
Wait, you did the same as Dan. You made toys with Tube Heroes.
and yes, that's fair, but I'm not the one complaining.
Well, okay then. He was talking about food, not merchandise and toys.
And I'm like, okay, sure. Let's keep moving the goalposts. But okay, did I reply to this? He was sponsored, then promoted, and made a whole video on Munch Pack, a monthly sub box full of food and candy to his Minecraft audience full of kids. Now what?
20 minutes is how long that response video ran, and rather than address the actual criticism, KSI spent nearly all of it digging up dirt, an old Munch Pack deal, plus the Tube Hero toy line Dan had put out back in 2014, a modest £15 product nobody remembered. A guy who'd just co-founded a global snack company was busy ridiculing a decade-old toy release. It didn't stop there. He deleted a tweet where he'd name-called Dan, posted something resembling an apology that was really just a redirect to his own new single, then told Logan on his podcast the whole episode had doubled as promo for that song. 1 tweet from Dan, and he moved on with his life. Videos, tweets, insults, a staged apology, and a song plug later, KSI openly admitted the whole thing had been calculated. Which raises the obvious question, what did Dan actually do in response?
I couldn't be bothered to fight. Like he loves the whole back and forth. That's what the whole boxing
That's what he
about.
wants,
Like I get
it?
it. I understand it. But it was funnier to not feed into it because
Just
you
exhausting.
just watch it happen. It was fun. I think some of it as well was interesting where I think he thought like it was all my fans going for him when actually I don't
It was
think
his
that
fans.
was the case.
No, it was the internet.
You know what's funny as well? My wife was always like, just think before you tweet. That was one time I didn't really think too much before tweeting. Usually I'll type it out and be like, no, I can't bother, delete it. So and then I didn't tell her for like 3 days, and she's not on Twitter really. So I didn't tell, and then I kept getting notifications from my phone. I was like, oh, Logan Paul's responded. Jimmy's messaged you. KSI's responded. I was like, well, I'm gonna have to mention something now. She was like, oh, well, I agree with you, but maybe you should just not stoke the fire anymore. I was like, okay, that's fair. It's one of them moments where I was like, oh no, it's actually getting out of hand.
Nothing, essentially. He saw exactly what was happening. KSI thrives on that back and forth. Engaging would have just fed him more content. So Dan stayed quiet and let it run its course, while KSI kept the cycle going for weeks. That's about when someone with a lot more weight behind their name stepped in. Jacksepticeye, 31 million subscribers, around since the Markiplier and PewDiePie days, not exactly known for drama baiting, posted, "You mess with DanTDM, you mess with YouTube." It hit as hard as it did, partly because Jack had made almost this same argument close to a year earlier, well before Lunchly was even a concept.
Now Jack, a completely unrelated question. Do you like Mr. Beast? No. Jack, do you think Mr. Beast ruined YouTube? Yes. Now, in all honesty, Jack, why?
Because it became more about views, money, and popularity than it did about having fun.
You just don't think you had fun playing Squid Games? You don't think you had fun riding on yachts? Building wells in Africa? I don't know.
If he had fun doing those videos, they'd be longer. We'd see the fun. Ooh. Thought you were going to get me with that one, didn't you?
I'll be honest about that and be like, yeah, I don't like the videos. And then it was like, do you think he ruined YouTube? And I said yes, which, I mean, I don't really think Mr. Beast ruined YouTube. By saying that, I mean, I think everybody that copies him is kind of putting YouTube in like a weird spot. And if anything, YouTube have ruined their own platform, not Mr. Beast outwards.
Guys, here's what Jack was actually arguing. This was never really about Mr. Beast the individual, it was about the wave of people copying his approach. What gets replicated isn't the creative side, it's the extraction model underneath. Bigger sets, bigger merch lines, bigger revenue targets, with the fan base reduced to a funnel feeding the machine. By 2026, nobody illustrated that shift more clearly than KSI.
With YouTube, I just wasn't enjoying it anymore. I had to keep up with a persona that was just so taxing on me and my general well-being, to be honest. And I don't know, but in my opinion, YouTube has changed a lot. I don't believe it's about the you in YouTube anymore. Gone are the days where people would just make videos for fun. Now it's all about people making videos for monetary gain. YouTubers now have directors, editors, cameramen, and other things to help them out. Whereas before, it was only the YouTuber that would do that themselves. That essentially is the game right now. That is the YouTube game. That's how you remain relevant nowadays. And personally, I just don't want to be a part of that game anymore. From now on, I'm going to be making content that I want to put up. I just hated how YouTube became like a chore for me, having to always keep up with these bullshit trends and shit. I started making videos because that's what I wanted to do. Like from the beginning, it was just fun for me. I just enjoyed doing it. So I feel like I want to end doing videos that I want to do rather than doing videos that people want me to do. I'm trying to compete with Jimmy, Mr. Beast. Yeah. And he gets about 4 billion every month in shorts and about 600 million long form. I mentioned Sidemen boys, I'm gonna get more subscribers than Sidemen, and I'm also gonna get more views than Sidemen. So I got more views than Sidemen in a month. So now I just need to get more subscribers. Yeah. And then it's just keep it up. And then it's like, all right, cool. I'm looking at Speed now. I need to try and get more views than Speed. And then after Speed, who's next? Until I get to Jimmy. And then it's like, yeah, me and Jimmy going back to back.
Watching that older clip now hits completely differently. Back then, he talked about wanting to make content purely for himself, about YouTube turning into something driven entirely by money, and about wanting out of that whole system. Set that against the newer footage where he treats the Sidemen, friends of more than 10 years, like a target to overtake, climbing past iShow speed with Mr. Beast as the finish line, almost like a scoreboard he's chasing. It doesn't look like exhaustion or needing a breather. It looks like a plan, one where anyone in the way simply got pushed aside. Walking away from the Sidemen is just the latest entry in a pattern that's been building for a while.
Has there ever been something that's gone so far down the line and then last minute you've got, this just isn't going to work, we need to sack this?
NFTs.
Oh
my goodness. Yeah. This was KSI in his KSI crypto era, and we got this big shiny presentation for the Sidemen NFTs, one of 10,000.
Wow.
And NFT projects, especially back then, were like, launch the NFT project, make $20 million that day. Yeah. What happens afterwards, everyone should make money, but if they don't, who cares? You made 20 mil. And we had this big like deck, and like JJ thought it was the best idea, and then the other guys were like unsure, and I was like, I will not let this happen. So I had to like do a detailed breakdown of every reason why I thought it was a bad idea. So I was like, I want to kill this dead now because I do not want there to be a Sidemen NFT.
Yeah.
I do not ever want to make millions of dollars at the direct expense of fans getting nothing for it. A useless token online. And also with the way we've got a bunch of businesses, like if you effectively scam people or like fuck them over with one business, everything else loses credibility.
Take Vicstar, who reportedly had to build an entire counterpitch just to keep his own friend from launching a venture that would have made them millions while fans walked away with nothing. KSI, meanwhile, was fully on board. Vic laid out the NFT logic about as clearly as it gets. Bring in 20 million on day one, and whatever happens to the buyers afterward isn't your problem. That's essentially the same playbook Dan called out over Lunchly. Guys, launch, cash out, walk away. So when KSI's own closest friend got called out for something built on that logic, what was KSI's move? He stood up for him, out loud, in front of everyone.
If you ask me, I think KSI tried to use his influence to move the market for himself in crypto through a few pump and dumps. He may have lost all his money eventually in a Ponzi scheme, but that does not make what he did okay. In fact, I think it's fair to say that a lot of his followers, we saw that, he influenced millions of dollars in trading volume, went into some coins that are now doing very poorly. But ultimately, I think the true piece of cosmic irony for KSI here, though, is that he would have gotten away with all of this. No one would have known about any of it if he just hadn't logged back into Twitter.
Turns out KSI had been quietly running a version of that exact play the whole time, reportedly moving millions in trading volume through pump and dump behavior, and he'd likely have gotten away with it cleanly had he not gone back online and drawn attention to himself. Then there's the CryptoZoo refund situation. When Logan's program turned out to cover only 12% of what victims were actually owed, while forcing them to waive any right to sue, KSY's public move was to tweet his support. 2 years later, it's his own team leaking stories to the Daily Mirror about those very friends who, apparently, weren't loyal enough to keep around. His loyalty narrative falls apart on its own terms. He backed Logan through an active legal scandal over a crypto scam, yet walked out on the Sidemen, the group his career is built on, chasing MrBeast's formula while working against his old group in the press on the way out. None of this makes Dan or Jack anti-money, to be clear, guys. They run brand deals, sell merch, and have both made legitimate income off YouTube. The distinction is that content actually built their careers, with the business side as an extra, not the whole engine. What KSI's doing runs on a different structure entirely. His fan base functions as a pipeline now, not a community, and every launch, controversy, and exit gets built around squeezing more value out of it. Jack's whole point was that everyone copying MrBeast is putting YouTube in a strange place, and KSI just walked away from 13 years of friendship to become the clearest proof of that. So here's what's actually worth asking, guys. Was DanTDM right to call all of this out publicly the way he did? Or should he have just stayed quiet and let people work it out for themselves? Drop your answer in the comments. If you're new around here, this is the Clout Report. Hit like, send this to somebody who needs to see it, and subscribe so the next one doesn't slip past you.